Diamonds are forever. It's a cool marketing tagline, also the name of a James Bond movie, but the tagline may soon come with a rider. Doesn't apply to Russian diamonds. Let me explain. The G7 countries have announced a ban on Russian diamonds. It starts from the new year, and the plan has two phases. First, a ban on processed diamonds from Russia, basically the finished product. The second is on indirect imports. Say India bought rough diamonds from Russia. They were polished and processed here and then exported abroad. From March 2024, even those will be banned. Now, we've been hearing about this plan for a long time. It was announced by the G7 this month, but India is not happy about it. Reports say New Delhi has made two requests to the G7. One, to delay the ban, and two, to give them more clarity. Like, how will a stone's origin be traced? How will it be certified? Will polishing companies have to give a lot of information? Simply put, India is not a fan of the ban. The question is why? Time for a quick lesson on the diamond industry. Russia is the biggest producer. It makes up 30% of all rough diamonds. The G7 nations, or some of the biggest economies in the world, that's the group of seven, they are the biggest buyers. They make up 70% of the consumption. And between them is India. 90% of the polishing and cutting is done here. Randomly, take 15 diamonds. Chances are 14 were processed in India. It tells you how big the industry is. India's diamond sector is based in the western state of Gujarat, mostly in the city of Surat. It employs around 5 million people. It also generates $23 billion in exports. That's 10% of India's total merchandise outflow. Imagine that, 10% from gems and jewelry. So to recap, most of the world's rough diamond comes to India. We polish it, process it, and export it. And it makes a lot of money. Now we come to the G7 ban. The idea is to throttle Russia's exports, to make sure that countries do not buy Russian stones. India buys them indirectly. We don't import from Russia, we source them from places like Dubai and Antwerp. The same Russian stones, just a different market. So will the ban still apply? Unfortunately, yes, it will. From March 2024, G7 will not accept Russian diamonds of 1 carat or more. From September 2024, the limit will fall. The ban will cover 0.5 carats and above. So most commonly bought stones will be affected by this ban. And this has raised questions. How will a diamond's origin be identified? What software will be used? And how will the stones be certified? India's diamond industry wants answers to these questions because right now there is no clarity. Just consider Russian oil. Like diamonds, it has been banned by the G7. They've banned Russian oil, but India still buys Russian crude. India also exports the refined fuel to European nations. Chances are at least some of that fuel came from Russian crude. Yet, Europe keeps buying it. Will the same rule apply to diamonds as well? Or will the stones be marked at the source? Do you see the confusion? It's come at the worst possible time for India's diamond industry. In this financial year, exports are down 29%. We saw marginal recovery in the month of November. That's when America's recession fears eased. So the US diamond demand surged. Weeks later, the G7 announced this ban. It's not ideal for the industry. But on paper, the government is confident. Officials say India processes smaller Russian diamonds, so maybe the impact will be limited. But like I said, the size limit will reduce in September from 1 carat to 0.5. And if that doesn't work, maybe the G7 will lower it again, sort of like tightening the ban. So the need of the hour is clarity. I know the G7 thinks it owns the entire world, but here, livelihoods are at stake.